Yeah. See what happens. I'll comment on that. She's right. It's 6 o'clock and I'm calling this meeting to order. Good evening and welcome everyone. I feel like I'm at church, everybody's sitting clear in the back. We have plenty of seats up in front, but welcome in any case. This meeting is being recorded and will be available on the city's YouTube channel. Just a reminder to the in-person audience, whether you are presenting or just commenting on an agenda topic, please come to the podium, which is right there, and wait to be recognized by the mayor stating your name. There's a 7-minute time limit. If participating by phone, be sure to mute your phone. Non-agenda items can be presented under citizens not on the agenda, which is at the end of our agenda, but will not be discussed by the council at that time. Above all, please show courtesy and respect at all times. Thank you. Next, I need a roll call, please. Mary Ann Wainwright.
Yeah, Molly.
Mike here.
Cindy Anderson. Wozniak. Next, I need a motion to approve the consent agenda. Questions, council? So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Next, we'll move on to reports. And we have anyone from sheriffs that have been verbalized to report?
They're probably all down the street.
They're all,
They're
yeah,
probably
never
all-
mind. Yeah, they're all. Okay. Council, any questions on any of the department or engineering reports?
I do.
Okay,
It's probably a dumb question, but I don't know. Building department, things they talked about is parking in your yard is a violation. Is that like they're an ordinance that they can't park in their grass? Is that non-running or what?
So a couple things, they can't park on the grass. They have to, it has to be what we consider hard surface or gravelled. It has to have a current license plate. It's kind of to keep people from, junk cars, those kinds of things.
Okay, so if it's their yard, why shouldn't they be able to park the car? Now, like, what if you have company? Is it just like for a day or so, or is it not ever?
Well,
Cause this, to me, that seems really, really strict.
we have an ordinance.
Oh, I know.
so if people choose, like if they're having a gathering and they choose to ignore the ordinance, are they gonna get a ticket? That's up to the sheriff, but thing, but we have to have
It's
the
just-
ordinance, otherwise you would have junk cars.
People leave trashy crap on their yard, that's what.
I figured that's what it
It's
was.
similar to, and I know Tim's gonna talk about it here in a little bit. It's similar to no parking situations. We have it there to use as a tool if we need it.
Okay.
Now, garage sales, are we gonna get the Lynn County Sheriff to enforce it? Probably not, because we know what a madhouse it is.
Right.
However, it's there for the people who
Yeah,
habitually buy
use
it.
it, okay. I just thought I'd ask.
That's what it has to have a current plate and.
Sure, understand.
I just have not a question, a comment, under Shane's engineering report. He mentioned that there's gonna be a pickleball / tennis court reconstruction meeting this Thursday. Just in order to keep council in touch, once that meeting has concluded, we'll provide minutes to the council members via email. Is that satisfactory to everybody? Okay. We will do that. Any other comments or questions for council?
I had I had a question for Kathy on the library report. I'm just curious what you found so disheartening at last council meeting where we talked to Bruce, because I thought it didn't go that bad.
25 minutes for $5,000 just seemed kind of. That say that we ignored that for so long that it should be done,
What should be done?
the addition, I presume. Any other questions, comments that you're like?
Okay, so those are the reports, no motion needed, we'll move on. And our next item, number 6, presentation by Joe Ray, with solid waste HMBC. Good, made it through the traffic.
Madam Mayor, council members, thanks for having me back. I'm Joe Verini. I'm the interim director of the Cedar Rapids Lynn County Solid Waste Agency, here with our annual update on services, programs, operational costs, tipping fee update coming here for the new fiscal year, and an update on landfill capacity and governance. So if we all have a copy of my presentation, just briefly, Solid Waste Agency, who we are. The agency was formed back in 1994. That's when the city of Cedar Rapids and Lynn County combined under a 28E agreements. We're not part of the city. We're not part of the county. We're a standalone agency similar to the airport. We have a 9-member board of directors. We have 6 officials from the city of Cedar Rapids. We have 2 Lynn County supervisors, Brandy Myscheid and Sammy Sheets, and 1 appointee from the city of Marion. We operate 2 locations. So if you ever see in the paper when they talk about Site 2 is the landfill and recycling location on County Home Road. Site 1 is Mount Trashmore, the closed landfill. It's now the recreation area. And Site 3 is our compost facility that's adjacent to Mount Trashmore down by Czech Village. So I'll start with our compost facility. Just want to give you an update on that. We currently do have a large supply of finished screen compost that is available to Lynn County residents for no charge. So as long as they have a supply and a resident comes to their personal vehicle, they can take it for free. I do have to say personal vehicle because we were getting a situation where people were renting dump trucks and big dump trailers. They're cleaning this out. So you still get your personal amount. That's about the amount that we fill up the back of a pickup truck. And then we also have wood chips available again for free to Lynn County residents. And then the Mount Trashmore trails are open for the season. Mount Trashmore Trail, we currently have the Mount Trashmore Challenge underway that is going up and down Mount Trashmore 140 times. That is the equivalent of scaling Mount Everest. We've already had 10 people that have completed it so far this year, which is pretty amazing. And we're looking to break the record. We had more than 300 people sign up last year, trying to get 400 this year. So that is open. Moving on to our changes coming up in the fiscal year on July 1st for tipping fees. Currently, the landfill tipping fee is $50 per ton. On July 1st, that will be going up to $53 per ton. The minimum charge is going to stay the same, $22 plus tax. And we are keeping the flat fees on for residents also the same for this fiscal year. So that's based on vehicle size. So if you come out in a regular sedan like a Toyota Camry or a Chevy Impala, it's a $12 flat fee. If you come out in an SUV, minivan, or a crossover, it's a $15 flat fee. If you come out in a pickup truck or a full-size van, it's a $22 flat fee. This is where I like to remind everyone, if you are coming out, I want to make sure that you're getting your money's worth. I've had people that come to stop in the office and they yell at me, hey, I just got charged $22 for 2 bags of garbage. And I ask them, were you in a pickup truck? They go, yes, I were. Like, that's the flat fee that we charge. Well, I could have bought 2 extra garbage stickers and put it out at home for $5. And I go, yes, you absolutely could have done that. Please do that in the future. And so we always utilize your curbside services, especially if you guys come here and it was a half an hour drive off to County Home Road. So use the curbside services we have them, use us for the big cleanouts. Other changes that are going to be effective is the compost facility. That tipping fee is going up to $35 per ton, up from the current 32. And some of the other services that we have for a charge are staying the same. Tires will still be $4 per tire, 5 if it's on the rim. White goods, which are appliances, that's staying the same. It's $10 per appliance. TVs and computer monitors staying the same, $15 per unit with that. And then moving on to some of our recycling services that are available for no charge for Lynn County residents. Scrap metal, household hazardous materials, that's old paints, chemicals, stains, cleaners, basically anything that's in the basement, garage, under the sink, you can drop those off for no charge. Commingled recyclables, that's your paper, plastics, things like that. People, this is when I get the questions the most about, does it really get recycled? If it's paper, it gets recycled. If it's cardboard, it gets recycled. Actually, probably gets processed here at International Paper, the largest cardboard recycler in the US. Aluminum steel cans, they get recycled. It's plastics that are the big issue. It comes down to the number on it. If it's a plastic 1 and 2, it gets recycled. 3 through 7s do not get recycled right now. There's not a recycling market for those. even with the higher oil prices, it's still cheaper to make new material than it is to use recycled 337s. So, I just tell folks, go ahead, look at the number on the bottom of your plastic material. If it's a 1 into 2, recycle it. If it's a 3 through a 7, go ahead, throw it out. Don't feel bad about it. There is not a market for it to be recycled. Used oil can be dropped off, no charge. Batteries, I'll talk about that more in a second. Textiles, old clothing, we have a partnership with St. Vincent de Paul and Cedar Rapids, so they get those old clothing recycled. Hardcover and softcover books can be recycled, no charge. All other electronics besides TVs and monitors can be dropped off for free. If you can plug it in, it's not an appliance, we'll take it no charge. CDs, VHS tapes, DVDs, including the cases that they come in, those can be dropped off for free. Old bicycles and medical sharps and syringes can also be dropped off for no charge out of the county home road location. Moving on to battery drop off, this is a pilot program that we're doing with several other communities around Lynn County. The reason for this is batteries are a big issue when it comes to landfills. Actually, the Duke landfill just had a fire last week that was caused by a battery. It only takes one. And so to make it easier for folks to recycle, we're putting these battery boxes around city halls and libraries around Lynn County. Fairfax will be getting one very soon. You guys have your facility ready to hold that. And again, for this, it's just to make it easier. This is a prepaid box, can hold about 30 pounds worth of batteries. You might think 30 pounds is that a lot when we get 600 tons of garbage every single day. Again, it just takes one battery. And we're running into the issue with lithium-ion batteries where people throw them in the garbage. They're in, old kids' toys, things like that. And our bulldozer runs over top of it and cracks open the casing. The air hits what's inside the battery, it starts a fire. So that hopefully this will make it easier for folks. You put all types of batteries in there. If you're not sure what you have, if it's not blind, lithium-ion, ICAD, throw it in there, recycle for no charge. Moving on to some partnerships that we have that are available. Mattress recycling, we partnered with Willis Beatty. If you bring a mattress out to the landfill, it costs $20 to get rid of it. That's on top of the fees that we charge. So if you're in a pickup truck, you have a bunch of garbage plus a mattress, it's gonna cost you $22 for the garbage load, another $20 for the mattress. The reason for that is mattresses are very difficult to handle in the landfill. Our heaviest compactor weighs 110,000 pounds. It goes over top of a mattress, it flattens it. The second it drives off it, the mattress starts to come back up. Now imagine Lebanon coming out with 20 to 30 mattresses at a time, which they used to, they're an issue. So now with Willis Beatty, they have now a crew of, I believe, of 6 people working full time to handle mattresses. You take them there, they demanufacture it, they pull out the insides, they pull out the metal, they have recycling markets for all those materials. So it's providing jobs for their clients. It's keeping space in the landfill for us. So it's been a win-win, and it's only cost $10 if you take it to Willis Beatty. So we highly recommend use them for mattress recycling. Other partnerships with Central Furniture Rescue. They help people who are emerging from homelessness into housing for the first time. When people come out to the landfill, they have a load of garbage in their pickup or a trailer. We watch them as they're throwing it out, and they might have everything in their garbage. They have one good-looking chair, one good-looking table. We'll ask them to set it to the side, and we have containers out there staged by Central Furniture Rescue that we fill up with those tables, chairs, dressers, things who people who are moving into a place who don't have anything to help them furnish their home. So that's diverting tens of tons of material each month. So that's another great partnership. The reason we're trying to save all the space, you'll see on the next slide. Here's a breakdown of how much garbage we received last fiscal year in FY25, around 182,000 tons. The orange part of that pie chart, that's municipal solid waste. So that's the garbage that gets picked up curbside, City of Cedar Rapids, City of Marion, and our smaller communities, about 30%. That other 70% of the garbage we receive is all commercial and industrial. When you hear commercial industrial, you're probably thinking, Cargill, Quaker Oats, General Mills. That's part of it. But commercial industrial includes every school, every church, every strip mall that has a garbage dumpster behind it. Just about everywhere else in Lynn County, that's all that garbage that we receive. So we're getting a lot of it. The reason why the numbers are so important, as you see on the next slide here, talking about landfill capacity, we know that we are filling up. The agency's charge is a 28E, it's for 50 years. We're set to expire on June 30th, 2044. However, the landfill is going to be full at current rates before 2044. At our last airspace analysis we did earlier this year, looked like February of 2039, which is pretty good. When I was here last year, you might remember I said, hey, it looks like we're gonna be full in 2037, 2038. So we got about a year and a half of airspace back. However, we're getting a lot more garbage now. The data center projects are generating a lot of waste. So we'll probably be bumping back down a little bit to 2038. That's something that we check every year. But the reason, we're filling up regardless, and we know that there's limited space. So knowing this, we've been in discussions with the city of Marion. We have a settlement agreement with them saying what our boundaries have to be from the last expansion in the early 2000s. We have to have an 1,800-foot setback. That's the black line that you see running across there towards the middle of the screen. So talking with them, they know that we're filling up, and that's gonna cost more for everyone, we no longer have the landfill option. They said, we'll consider expansion, but we wanna see some changes to the structure of the agency. This led to the formation of a working group, where we had officials from the city of Marion, city of Cedar Rapids, Lynn County, agency staff, a representative of, local industry from, Quaker Oats, and then, one representative of our smaller communities. We had the city administrator from the city of Ely, LDO, that was on the committee. They came up with a series of recommendations that they agreed upon. And so for Marion to consider expansion, they want to see our governance changed. So right now, our board of directors, the 9 officials, it's based on Lynn County's population. There's 234,000 people that live in Lynn County, 138,000 live in Cedar Rapids, so about 60%. So it's right now, Cedar Rapids has 60% of our board. Under the proposed change, there'd be a 14-member board. Cedar Rapids would still have their 6. There'd be 1 appointee for local industry. And then Marion would get 3 seats, Lynn County would get 3 seats, and then it'd be 1 permanent seat for one of our smaller community members. The other part of these recommendations was that Marion would get a host fee for allowing expansion. So they would get a certain base amount each year, and they would get a cut of each ton that comes in. For example, like $1.25 from municipal solid waste, $1.75 from the commercial waste. There's some other recommendations that came out of that as well. Where it stands coming out of this is the city of Marion has accepted those working group recommendations. Lynn County has accepted them. Cedar Rapids has not voted on it yet because there's discussions about how much of the space they want to utilize. Marion is proposing allowing a 450-foot expansion, which would theoretically get us to 2044. Cedar Rapids would like to see a full expansion of the site, which would allow us to landfill out there to the middle of the 2060s at current rates. So those discussions are ongoing. If a change with that does occur, I'll come back and let you know once that is finalized. But the reason we're having these discussions is because our board has said there is not going to be a new landfill in Lynn County. The reason for this is there are no parcels of land left in Lynn County where we could build an apples to apples to what we have right now. There's so many zoning restrictions that basically if you grow corn on a piece of land, we can't use that to build a landfill. So unless you know somebody that has 300 to 500 acres of land that you can't grow crops on, there's likely never going to be another landfill in Lynn County. So knowing that, our board has looked at different options for how to handle the garbage. There are different technologies out there. They're just very, very expensive. And we don't generate enough garbage that we did put something like a state-of-the-art incinerator in for mixed waste processing, because the majority of the waste that we receive is commercial industrial, and it doesn't have to come to us. So if we have a technology that costs a lot, and they can take it to a landfill that costs half of that nearby, that's where it's gonna go. So when when we do fill up, we're gonna operate as a transfer station. So what we do right now, with our recyclables, we're just the middleman. People come to our recycling building, they drop off their electronics, they drop off their batteries, they drop off their paper and plastic, and go somewhere else for processing. Garbage will be the same way. Garbage will come in, we'll load it into open top semis, and then it will go out to either a landfill that has space or an alternative technology that can handle it. So in the meantime, what does this mean? Just want folks to know, we know this is going on, we're planning for the future. In the meantime, we're still here, we're still open, offering these diversion opportunities, but we want to utilize the space that we have, because we know at the end of the day, some things can't be reused, recycled, or composted, they do have to be landfilled. So we're gonna handle those materials, keep providing options for everyone, businesses and residents in Lynn County. Are there any questions?
I have a question, Joe.
Yeah.
The battery recycling.
Yeah.
You stated that it just takes 1 battery to start a fire. Looked to me like those recycle bins are accurate.
They have a anti flame liner inside.
Liner?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
And since Joe brought that up, and both Joes are talking.
Yeah.
Fairfax will be participating in the battery recycling, however, we chose not to have it within our city hall lobby. So our creative staff is building a metal container for the cardboard box that will be placed next to our glass recycling dumpster, with the goal being that that all is in place by our citywide cleanup days, which is Saturday, June 10th.
That'd be great. Any other questions? All right, thank you, appreciate it.
All right, next on our giant agenda, item number 7. Garage sale traffic concerns, Tim Moore. Gonna be sharing some information. Tim, if you'll introduce yourself.
I'm Tim Moore, And I live at 160 Horizon Avenue in Fairfax. And I lived there almost 25 years, and every year that we have the garage sales, it usually always ends up being quite a fiasco. And I say that because some of the pictures that I took and sent to Mayor Beer shows that people just kind of park like wherever they want. This particular picture here, that the car was coming down the road. They tried to get over on the left-hand side of the one that was coming at them. But as you can see there in the picture, the car that is on the right ended up parking in front of the sign that says no parking on this side of the street. And so since the pickup, seen the car parked in front of him, if you want to turn it to the right there, you can see a little better what I'm talking about. Yeah, so that car there decided to park right in front of the sign. And so the truck decided to park right there with them. Now, on Horizon where I live, that is not really that big of a deal. But my concern was that I shared with the mayor is that we have certain avenues in and out of the city, and Second Street, of course, is the main artery that allows us, like myself and my neighbors here, to get in and out of the city. And every year that we have the garage sales, it seems like that all the people along Second Street that are gonna have garage sale have their cars parked on the right-hand side, which leaves hardly any place for the people that comes to visit the garage sales, any place to park except on the other side of the street. And so, I'm not gonna read all of the stuff that I sent to the mayor, but basically, and keeping in with the 7-minute limit here, I just wanted to share that I got out of the city just fine at about 8 o'clock on Friday morning. The garage sales were May 16th. But as you know, most people decide to start on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and some even on Sunday. And on Friday morning, I got out of the city just fine. I came back to the city and there was a truck parked right in front of the sign that says no parking this side on Second Street headed west. And so there's a picture there, another picture to show, if you'd like, that the streets just become so plugged that you could not get through to save your life. And that's the same picture. There's another one in there somewhere, I believe. But it might not have got added, I don't know. Okay, there's not another picture, but on Second Street, I took a picture and sent it to Mayor Beer. When I was actually just out on walk, in my afternoon walk. And the cars were literally there was 5 cars, the breadth of the street that only holds 3. So if we could have 4 widths of parking, or cars being able to drive, that would be one thing, but obviously we don't in Fairfax. And he just said, Joe did, that there's 138,000 people that live in Cedar Rapids. And when those people all converge on our streets, it's a problem. And the problem that I have is that there's no enforcement of the rules. And if there's no enforcement, then there's certainly gonna be no compliance. And so it just becomes a nightmare. And in talking to some of my neighbors, after the fact that I was chewed out by somebody that didn't like me telling them that they shouldn't be parking in front of the sign. They basically told me the same thing, that they absolutely dread the Fairfax garage sale days because they are gridlocked in the city when all these 100,000 cars come out of the city and try to come up and down our little streets. Fairfax was not built for the volume of traffic that Cedar Rapids has. And so therefore, it's just very impossible to try to get in and out of the city. So I was just going to ask if possibly maybe on the main arteries coming in and out of the city. And everybody in their neighborhoods knows what road that is. Maybe the sheriff or the city could gather together and just have kind of like sometimes the special events in Cedar Rapids where they put up the cones that says no parking, no order of the police, or in this case, the Lynn County Sheriff. And possibly that maybe if the sheriff would just drive through a couple of times, that maybe our streets would be able to be passable again, and that's all I'm asking. Anybody got any question? Has anybody else witnessed what I'm talking about?
I have a question, Spanky. We used to put up, once upon a time, we used to put up no parking signs because there was concern that if we had a medical emergency or a fire, there was no way that they were gonna be able to get up and down the streets. So I know for the longest time, that was in fact kind of the case,
But
and I don't know,
nobody cares.
they just do what they want.
It's a garage sale.
So I don't know.
They don't.
Yep, it didn't matter, they were parking in front of them, didn't matter
We tried. More than once, yes,
for several years.
yeah.
Well, and I myself worked in a factory for 45 years at Whirlpool of Manna, so I was never actually ever off work until I retired. And actually got to see that this craziness doesn't just start on Saturday, like the Fairfax fact says it does. It starts on Thursday, and then Friday, and then Saturday, and then some people even go on to Sunday. And so it's not just like, oh my gosh, we just gotta leave town for the one day and it's all done and over. It's coming back again next year, and it'll be 3 and 4 days, and the city will be gridlocked if something doesn't change.
They have the same problem to say. We have, they have the same problem in Walford. We actually had a call during garage sale days in Walford, and we almost didn't get out of the fire station.
Wow. Well, thank you, Joanne, for letting me share.
Sure, I just have a quick question for council though. One of your asks was, related to the sheriff actually just patrolling. I mean, council, are you interested in asking the sheriff to do that, or how would that happen?
Well, if they're gonna patrol, you'd have to have the stuff posted for them to, cause like if people just park and it's not posted, no parking, you can't do anything to them. So you'd have to have some areas posted for them not to park where the sheriff could actually issue them tickets.
I don't know how they could even patrol, to be honest.
Do you know what I mean? And-
Most of every street has no parking on one side,
Yeah,
and they're parking on both, on all of them.
yeah.
They could really do this all day long.
Yeah.
So I don't think they have enough staff.
Since the deputy is here, I'm gonna ask her.
So the question was, there has to be signs for it to be basically enforced, is what you're saying, Mary Ann.
Yeah.
And where I am talking about is where I came up Highland, turn right onto Second Street. Right in front of us, right as you turn the corner, there's a sign right there that says no parking this side. And whenever I powered my window down and told the guy that you're not supposed to be parking there, because it makes it really hard for residents like myself that lives here to get in and out of the city, I was told to go F myself. And then the guy proceeded to follow me to my house, and as I got out of my car, snapped my picture, and I just walked right up to his truck and I said, I know you're upset with me for me calling you out about parking right in front of that sign that said no parking this side. But I said, people like you that blow into town and do not obey these signs makes it really hard for the rest of us that lives here to be able to get to our house and get out of our house. And we have to carry on as we gotta be able to get the fire trucks down through there or a medical emergency. We should not have the streets gridlocked. And one of the pictures that I sent Joanne showed 5 cars, the street, people trying to come up and down both sides of Second Street, and it's just an absolute nightmare. And it went on for 4 days. So, thank you.
Yeah, not all of your pictures got in there, so I apologize for that, but we do have them on file.
Oh, I just have one question.
Okay.
We're gonna do a committee for the traffic problem. Why can't we get a committee that would be with the residents, council members, maybe, Spanky, and say, oh, this is what we could possibly do for the next one. Whether it be charging the residents an extra $10 to hire private security to come in and do whatever. Just a suggestion.
I'll have to be part of the same committee, which we'll talk about later on the
Okay.
agenda. Yeah.
So Deputy Sheriff, since you're here, reality is we have the signs that say no parking. If you come through patrol, see that car sat at that spot, what is your recourse? Does someone have to be in their car for you to issue a ticket?
I am not allowed to speak on behalf of the sheriff's department.
Okay, you do this, you see that car doing that, what do you
We
do?
cite them, we send it to your county attorney or your city attorney, they're the ones that file it.
Because it's a local ordinance with those signs. Okay,
I can tell you this occurs in every single small town and Cedar Rapids and Marion, Iowa. And I was basically told that unless I was a police officer, that I could shut my mouth. That's what he told me.
I'm sorry you had to go through that, that is not appropriate in any stretch of the fashion, but it is like
Thank you for listening, council, I appreciate it.
you're.
You know, Cindy, you're right, it's not appropriate. However, though, I would also caution any private citizen to confront anybody in that sort of tone. It becomes very, the other person becomes very defensive, and that can escalate very, very quick.
So,
It's just an opinion.
Okay. Let's move on to item number 8. Consider a resolution to approve the 2026 USA Days firework permit application.
so move.
Second.
Do you need to discuss anything? So,
I have a motion and a second, so I need a roll call, please, Marion.
Bye.
I,
Yeah. All right. Moving along to item number 9, discussion of possible mayor appointment of a formal data center and related traffic and safety committee. A few things to say. I'm gonna talk about some things first, then we'll have council discussion, and then, potentially have some public comments. This topic, came as a result of the special council meeting, last week, as a recommendation to form this committee. And there's been some questions on what a special committee actually could do, so I'm gonna rely on, a definition. Committee is a small specialized group of people chosen from a larger organization to consider, investigate, or act on a particular matter. And dividing larger groups into these focused teams, organizations can efficiently handle tasks, deliberate on details, and make informed recommendations. I'll remind the council, we actually already have one special committee, and that's the water committee that you approved a couple of months ago. And I did touch base with Councilmember Wozniak, because he was appointed the chair of that committee, and they have not yet met, so he doesn't have a report for council yet. Just real quickly, I also have a couple of updates, following up on your discussion back in the special council meeting last week. I have been in contact with the Lynn County Sheriff's Department about handling traffic control, and they're meeting with the sheriff next week just to discuss if there's any possibilities with that. They'll get back to me. Also, I contacted the person from the highway patrol that had helped us, seeing if there was any ongoing support available. What he told me was the highway patrol cannot on a permanent basis patrol in communities.
Correct.
They are the highway patrol. When they have available time, they can come through and issue tickets. And he also provided some contact information if we wanted to request them to more frequently just happen to come through our community and see what was going on. So I've got that contact information, but I just got that today. So I will follow up with that. So that's just a couple of pieces of information that I wanted to share before your discussion. So now I'll turn it over to council. Talk about what you would like to do here. The question is, do you want a special committee to talk about data center and all related traffic and safety concerns, such as grad sale traffic?
yeah, I believe that there needs to be a specific point of contact, given the scope and scale of what we are facing. We had a good discussion last week. But I think that it needs to be more focused. And, I would suggest that a couple of council persons and either Brian or Eric, not both, I don't think we need both, could meet as a committee. And then, given what was decided, what that was discussed, then you would invite others to the table. The, the representative, I believe, is Scott from Layton. Should be, other peoples that we'd invite, but I think it's important for us to get on the same page, given the radar stuff that has been compiled.
Scott, do you know, when 76 will be opened up all the way? But I think they're pretty close to being done. They have some ditch work to do. The area they normally would drive through is still closed, but it should be open soon.
Yeah, so we were looking right now, we just finished up the transitions into people's driveways today. Striping took place today, that's complete. It's just a little bit of shoulder work left to do with the weather conditions that we just recently had. It's left it too soft to really kind of get in there and do what we need to do. So we're looking potentially, if weather holds another good day like today, we could be done in the day tomorrow, if not first thing, Thursday morning.
So then all that traffic that's been diverted through town will go back that way, most of it.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's. it's an education.
You can hope for that.
They learn to do what they're doing now, we have to unlearn that. So, yeah.
Just quick comment on what Cindy had said, all of any of our special groups report to the council with their findings. And none of the other committees, actually include any outside representatives, so that would be another discussion as to.
Well, I'm not suggesting in any fashion that outside people be a part of this committee. Saying the
I think they
committee,
should, I think the DOT should be, because they're the ones that are kinda yanking us around on 151. We can talk until we're blue in the face and what should be done, but they're the ones that ultimately control what can and cannot be done on 151. And we can say until our throats are raw from screaming that we need a traffic light with a speed camera, or we need multiple traffic controls at intersections. They're not gonna do anything.
no, I'm not suggesting that they not be included in discussion meetings. I'm suggesting that they're not part of the core committee of our citizens, either council or staff, to start out. And then you definitely have to have conversations with those people. And likely you would have to have a contact, like not everybody different. But, and then everybody would come to the table. I'm not suggesting they not be included, because they have to be included. But as far as the purpose that we're doing, creating this committee, that has to happen first.
The traffic study that we have to have before they'll make any changes, how long did you say that would take? I mean, is that, I don't know, I mean, that is like the first step, and you can't do anything without the traffic study.
That's on item number 18 on our agenda.
Just saying.
Then I want that discussion.
And they absolutely will not move unless we do a traffic study.
Correct.
Yeah, it has to be warranted for any sort of
They have to have documentation of,
traffic control places.
and I think they prioritize those two as well. So I don't think it's first come, first serve. I think if, it used to be if they had intersections that had like a fatality rate, then those jump to the top of the, obviously. So I don't think it's first come, first serve. But
Okay.
sure.
So, last meeting we had about committees and connecting the dots and making sure we have the right people in the room for this traffic team that we're talking about. I'd like to introduce you to.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Ann Lavin, and I am the new Community Engagement Liaison for the QTS Data Center. Just a quick hint about me. I am a native of Cedar Rapids, and I moved away twice, but I keep coming back. I love this whole area, and I'm very passionate about relationships and building things that work for all involved. I'm looking forward to attending these meetings and connecting with many of you in the room and other residents of Fairfax who are not in the room, so I can hear your concerns and take them back to Layton and to QTS, and make sure we're developing a good partnership.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you for being here.
So. The first step or the goal for tonight would be, there's a possible motion here. Do you want such a committee to be formed? And then we logically should have a volunteer, like Dan volunteered to be the water committee chair. Anyone here?
I would
Somebody
volunteer.
volunteering to be the traffic and safety committee. And then I would suggest at least one other council member, but the chairperson would determine who'd invite to be on the committee. I would suggest another council member.
That would be my recommendation would be 2 council persons and 1 staff, either Brian or Eric. Public Works Director and our building person would have knowledge that would be important, I think. And potentially, if I fire chief, that.
The mayor does not have to be part of this committee. I'm on that committees as it is. But we certainly provide input. Next. Council, or any other things that you would like to see as part of this committee?
And what did you guys establish goals? Of what this
Yeah, I
committee's
mean,
supposed to-
that's why the committee would have to meet, figure out what direction we need to go.
Well, I think we should give you goals that before forming a committee,
I
we
was
should
gonna
say,
say-
here's the goals for the committee.
go for it. And that would be my
However you
concern
want.
is why have a committee if you don't know what the committee's supposed to be doing. You should have goals that you can.
Coordinate with the DOT to fast track any traffic control measures along 151. To reduce the unsafe conditions created by the data center traffic. As evidenced by radar sign reports and anyone with a pair of eyes. You don't have to put that last part in there for the mission statement, but that would seem obvious. I know a lot is gonna be resolved in town. But that just puts it all back out on 151.
And which is still a problem.
Yes,
Which we can't do anything about until we get a
traffic
traffic
study,
study from the DOT.
that'll take 2 months.
That we still can't do.
I think we should ask a DOT person to be a flagger at the intersection of 76 and Fairfax, and if he isn't killed by the end of the day, I think he'll have some very good input.
Well, the reality of the whole thing is you do the data study, then they decide. I mean, this is going to take years. Then you get into their queue for just kind of like anything else.
That's for permanent improvements, temporary lights and stuff, it'll take years, but it'll take months. It won't be, it'll take some time to get the traffic study done and then any sort of temporary improvements and stalls. Won't be a month, won't be 4 weeks from now, you're gonna have to that place.
But the conversation was start. Thank you. Having a point of contact is
I would say
important.
the committee should, the first thing they should do is reach out to the DOT and find out what's the fastest way possible. Put a temporary traffic light. At maybe it's 151. That's probably one of the primary points. That's an issue.
And I would recommend that the committee coordinate with our city engineer, Shane, because he's done a lot of this work already. Anything
Oh, and then
else?
find out you put up a traffic camera, a speed camera. That way pay for those temporary lights. I know they're very restrictive. But I mean, what was the highest speed on Lefebvre, 95?
Yeah, but what time was that?
Those are rookie numbers.
Does it have a time listed of any
Yes,
of those?
should.
The time window is 5 to 5:59
PM or AM?
PM. 1700, Sergeant.
Not cheap. What day?
I don't think it says.
Yeah, do you think you know who it is? Was it,
We took a picture.
The-
was it
the-
you?
The date range is April 1st to May 19th, so
Oh.
there you go.
Well, this one that says 95 miles per hour on Fairfax Road, between that date, it says the date was May 18th.
Where's it say that?
I don't know what page this is on.
Oh, man, that's a lot of scroll.
Yeah. And then,
What
you know,
was
on
the-
May eighth, it was 86 miles an hour, on
Well, let's
May
just,
11th, 84, 85, 82.
let's just put it this way, the number of people that speed on Fairfax Road is 82%. So 8 out of 10 data center drivers are speeding.
It was surprising.
Well, no, for a blanket statement.
Oh, I'm gonna put a blanket statement, don't pretend, let's not, no.
It's just hard for me to
City's not
grasp the
doing
fact
right.
that somebody was going 95 miles an hour. Because it had to be the first person that left the plant, because it's bumper to bumper traffic. I see it every day. How can anybody go that fast?
There
All I'm
are
getting at.
people, I will say that, because coming down 151 here the other day, I was getting ready to turn left into the shop. And someone passed doing about 70.
No, I get 151. I just find it hard
Out there, how that would work.
I think.
I would say they go into oncoming traffic, so they're going southbound in,
That's all.
northbound and south.
I mean, I raced on that road as a kid and I could never get up to 90.
Do you-
It was
okay.
at 7
Did they
a.m.
make cars that powerful back then?
They
Was that
do
your horse?
have a safety concern, and I'm not sure what the correct way to deal with this is. So we've got a type 3 that sits now that says local access only, whatever, at the intersection, and it encompasses the entire southbound or the
I
entire
know, some of them
northbound
did.
lane. And so if you are actually going into town and you actually are going that way, you have to go around that barricade into oncoming traffic to get around it into town, and that is not okay.
And if you're going,
I've had people complain that they've almost got hit trying to get into town.
I was actually going south and somebody was just turning, right turn on red. And came right at me
Right,
and I had to green. And they had to go around the signs.
so that might be appropriate to have out during shift change, but I don't think it should be left out. I don't know, it needs to have somebody monitoring that situation, it just should not be left in that lane all the time.
And those are things that the committee would discuss and try to figure out, contact whoever we need to do that. But I agree that,
Shouldn't have an accident.
I don't, when did the, laydown happen? When did they start doing 76? Remember
This will be the third week.
something like that?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear quite.
What date did 76 start being worked on and?
I believe it was, April 18th.
No.
This is-
okay.
I don't
Hey,
May.
18th, May 18th. I'm sorry, okay.
Somebody was probably dodging the, putting down the things, because that's the date that the 95 miles an hour happened.
So Brian. As Scott indicates, hopefully by the weekend, 76 and one is full open, all those signs will come down, correct?
Be gone.
Will be non-issues.
I wouldn't make that blanket statement, but we will advise. that we
Yeah,
will
I just know those traffic lights, those.
The signs will be gone, but it-
Traffic lights will stay.
Yes.
Okay, over, we need to move on.
Well,
I guess,
we need a motion.
motion to form a committee to deal with the traffic issues, continual and upcoming. I would recommend that our council for 2,000 people in either Ryan or Eric.
Shit, this one.
And Shane, and I would be willing to be chair of that committee. Need directions on how we go forward. Want that. That would be my motion. That makes sense.
You got that, Rosie?
Second.
You wanna repeat it, so sorry. You are Rosie, and you wanna repeat?
I haven't watched the video. Yeah, I think so.
All right. Well, for their, be sure when they're voting, they know what they're voting on.
Did I make that clear?
Let's talk about goals, if I could add that, in addition to the DOT and addressing, sounds like some of the data, the traffic study is going to hopefully give you guys a lot of information, but you have a lot of changes that are occurring in traffic flow related to the data center specifically. And I guess my hope for the city would be that GTS and, they can contribute in some way to the community to resolve these issues. And I think that committee should be point of contact to present and gather information to the council on what that might look like and the possibilities of how they can contribute to fixing the problem.
that, that Fairfax is facing as a result of the data center specifically. That would be my goal as well.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Council, with your permission, I would suggest that we move item number 18, which talks about the traffic study up, so that you can continue that train of thought and have Shane tell you what's going on with that. Is that okay, council?
Yeah.
That would work for me.
Not I put Shane on the spot, but thought he was gonna have a little flash.
So we met with staff yesterday to discuss traffic study options. I had reached out with, to Sam Shea with the IRDOT. One of the questions was asked, about possible funding to help with the traffic study. One possible source of funding would be the T grant, which is what the city utilized with the DOT back in 2022. They did the corridor study. That was through the T grant. Obviously, Sam can't commit to whether or not the DOT was anticipating something like that, but he said this is, would be a good project for it. The T grant basically pays for up to 150 hours of engineering, traffic engineering. So if the city wanted to utilize the T grant for the IRDOT, that would be up to 150 hours of traffic engineering for this traffic study. So I posed the question to Sam, this would be, could be a significant traffic study, if we're looking at most of the intersections throughout the city, I would want. I asked him if go beyond 150 hours, is that something that the city just kicks in to cover those costs? He's like, well, today, he said, we really don't run into that. T studies are typically, or at least T grants are typically high level. I think the one that was done in 2022 for the Highway 151 corridor, they just used DOT traffic numbers. Last time it was done, which is 4 years or so. Which obviously those numbers aren't relevant in this case. We need current traffic data. So, there'd be significant cost in collecting all that data. So it would push us well over 150 hours. Sam was able to look into that, excuse me, and followed up. He said that there is a possibility that DOT could work something out to split up the effort. So DOT could cover up to 150 hours. And then any hours that go beyond that, or something, possibility that the city could, cover those costs. It just may have to be sorted out where maybe the T covers certain intersections and the city covers other intersections, but so that's one way that the city would want to pursue. You just have to put in a request to the DOT, and then they would have to look into that in more details. So the exact timing, if we put in a request tomorrow to have the DOT proceed with the T grant in this traffic study, I don't know if it'll be a week or two or a month or two, where they come back and say, yeah, we will do it, and here's how we're going to proceed with anything that goes above and beyond 150 hours.
Shane, the question on that is if we go for the T grant, the DOT does the traffic study.
So the DOT does not do it, they have on-call consultants.
Right.
And so they will select one of their on-call consultants. That could also play into, the timing when the actual study was completed.
Do you think this would be a priority area given the situation?
It could be, Sam and others with the DOT are well aware of the situation.
If we went ahead and did it without waiting for their funding, would they reimburse us after the fact?
No, it'd have to be run through them.
I just have a lovely picture of what happened in Casey's here when the meeting started of a data center person using the turning lane as a passing lane. Unfortunately, the guy got T-boned on the passenger side instead of the driver's side. That's 2 total losses. Because someone could wait, because 50 miles an hour is fast enough, so I don't really want to wait.
What's this gonna cost us?
It's hard to say, and this is a really unique situation. Usually when you do a traffic study, you're looking at 1 or 2 intersections. But council gives me direction, I'll proceed with whatever direction you want me to do tomorrow, start looking and getting.
So if we would pay for it, we try to put it all together, are we about the same timeline? So if we, because they're already set up and have it all.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna have to work with a consultant, it's just a matter of kind of what their timeline is to do it, so.
Can we find out from them? Like if we submit it to them, can we find out what they think the lead time would be
Yeah,
before we make a decision to pay for it ourselves? And it's just gonna be expensive.
it's gonna be expensive, yeah.
Yeah, 150 hours at whatever we rate us.
Okay. I agree, it needs to happen sooner than later, so if we don't know what our potential output would be for this, I think that doing the math, we should be able to do the math and is this something that would have potentially your costs as well as a consultant, if you can say, Shane, this is find a consultant and do that, is that how that works?
What I'll do, because I know time's a concern, I'll reach out to Sam and say, can we do this, we'll look forward with this, and just let them know, we're also gonna look at, work with the consultant to see what their timeline is, and just try to get information from both sides. Unless you want me to do something else, but.
No, I think that we need the information.
Let's check with Sam first and see what his response is, and then we'll know which, and then you can, and meanwhile, you can look at trying to get pricing from a consulting firm. So we know,
Kind of good though.
Whichever gets it resolved faster would be the direction we should take. So if it's gonna take longer, doing it ourselves, because we have to organize stuff, I go with Sam, DOT. And then vice versa.
So how can Shane share this information? We have a special scheduled on the 23rd, but probably we'd like to start sooner than that if possible.
As soon as I get information, I'll forward it on, and then you can share with council.
But they can't vote on it.
so we can make a motion like now, subject to.
Whichever's fastest.
You know,
Yeah, can we do that? Is that? We could read that.
I think you can put a resolution that has enough latitude to say whichever is the most expedient.
Just need a motion in that regard, that you just.
Motion in that
But
regard.
we need to know what the cost is. I think we just don't spend $500,000 in a traffic study,
Well,
just saying. Because I think we need to know what that amount is before we get crazy.
So.
Either way, no matter what you do, you're gonna use a consulting firm, and so the timeline is gonna be about the same. So we can get it paid for that.
Whether the DOT consultant or whether the hall consultant.
Yes. So how can we word that to get this done?
Yeah, and I mean, I can reach out, obviously to Sam, and I can reach out to a couple consultants and get, by the timing. It'll take a little bit of time to put together a strict schedule and cost. That will be something that's probably gonna happen in the next day or two. Maybe by the 23rd. Or right by the July.
I don't think we wanna wait that long.
Well, I mean, it may be one of those things, like I said, they can give us a rough cost and rough timeline. That you can make a decision in July, the special council meeting in June. But the actual final scope resolution may be decided on in July.
Because we have to do the traffic study before we'll be able to do any kind of traffic control devices on the highway. So that just seems like the path would be easier if we're working with them through the whole process, but.
Them being the DOT.
The DOT basically just wants to see the warrants, to see if the warrants qualify for traffic signal for whatever.
Stand outside and watch.
I would think as much publicity as Fairfax has gotten over the last few months with all the problems that they have, that they would probably, think that it was a important thing to move up the ladder.
I guess I would say yes, Shane, reach out to Sam, get those particulars. Eventually, keep in your back pocket. Another consultant if necessary.
Yeah, I'll reach out to both, so, I mean, for some reason, you know, basically I'll put in a formal request. You know, for the chief study. With the DOT, get that process started. But, you know, if a week or two down the road, they're like, yeah, we can't do it, then we at least start the process with consultants.
Let's start, you wanna start there and then we can
Yeah.
regroup at the,
We can get at least an idea, maybe before the 23rd, great, if we can't get it until the 23rd, we can make a better decision. I'm hoping that Sam has heard from us, I believe, enough times that he knows it's an emergency situation that we deal with.
So the motion is to. Making the motion, Morrison.
have Shane move forward with requesting the study.
The chief.
Yep, for the DOT.
And ideally have information for the special meeting on the 23rd.
We need a motion that says that.
Yeah.
Then yes.
Sure.
Honored.
First, second, all in favor?
I.
Okay. Are you clear on that, Shane?
Yeah, I'm clear on that, I guess, and just so everybody's aware, the other, it's separate, because we're talking data center traffic, but there is the. You know, roundabout project, permanent intersection improvements. So just so I'm clear, council's clear, then for this traffic study, we're not gonna do anything for permanent intersection improvements. We'll do that at a later time. Obviously, that would be separate from a chief study, it kind of muddies the water, but
I was gonna say, can we do them together or will that
But
muddy
we get a
water?
consultant involved, we could have them, if they're gonna be on common traffic anyways,
Yes,
we could have them, you know, do that as well.
to me, that makes more sense.
Yeah,
to do them
definitely.
together.
Yeah.
Get
So
that.
it's accurate
Bring it up, I
information
just
at
wanna
the same
make sure
time.
that,
Cause we're trying to move forward with that as well. The
okay,
info.
No sense to put it off any longer. They're already gonna be there assessing it, so. Wonderful. That would be my opinion anyway.
well, consultants about that as well,
Okay,
right?
thank you,
Thank you.
Shane. All right, so we're back up.
Ready to data bridge.
All right, so now we're back to. Alleged. Item number 10, where we're back to. Discussion of the attorney's report regarding the alleged breach of promotion to offer credit access services to employees. Mary Ann is our contact / lead person. I'll let her handle this case.
So I wasn't really sure why it was on here, I'm guessing for, like, I guess we need to have a discussion about that. So confidentiality wise, I didn't feel like it was something that we needed to have out there. At this point anyway, that's the determination that you all can make. If you feel like that it should or should not be. But at this point, I feel like we all know what it says, so moving forward. Couple things, one is we should put a policy in place. And that the attorney did have something put together for that. And the other thing is, they recommended, offering. Credit monitoring services to the 3 people that they thought were. Could potentially have been violated, and I know that the employees are more. Would all like to have, I think, or. I guess they're thinking that we should offer it to anyone who would like to take it, that it was potential access. So what are your thoughts on that?
There needs to be 2 separate motions regarding this, and I'll talk about the first one. And I think it's important to make a distinction that it wasn't one time, it was multiple times. That she accessed personal files that she said, or that she was told she didn't have access to. With that said. Based on feedback from current and former employees, they're pissed off. That's the short version. And they want fraud protection, and we've been dicking around for 6 months on this. And none of their positions have changed. And whether you agree with it or not, it's not just 3 people that had their records or personal information potentially exposed. With that said, I think it should be beyond the 3 employees.
I disagree.
I'm not done talking, you can give your, didn't you do background checks?
Yes, I did.
I don't know how you can say that someone who wasn't allowed to access personal records that access those files after being told not to, that you wouldn't think
Did
people
you
would.
read?
I did, they said because there wasn't a they didn't say she wasn't wrong, they said because she didn't have a policy that technically it wasn't wrong. There is a big difference between technically and exposing people to stuff like that. That's the second part that I will get to. And here's the thing is that she did it multiple times, it wasn't once. And those employees don't trust her with that information. And therefore, they should have, if they requested, their fraud protection should be offered to them. Here,
Are you done?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, it specifically states in here that
That's a confidential document. Is it not?
it was released to the public.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was just sent, it was just sent to council.
There may be certain parts of it that are confidential, would seek it, attorney.
So you
View on that.
Verbatim,
Yeah, generalities can't read, can't.
Yeah, so that's, we can discuss it without getting,
Okay,
specific.
it's said in there that that she's allowed to have access to personnel files. And that there was no security data breach of any kind. There was
So,
no disciplinary actions that were taken. I mean, there was nothing that was recommended to be done.
the reason for that is we don't, and the reason for that is we don't have a policy, a formal policy. So that was the first part of this is we have to have a formal policy, so something like this doesn't happen again, and we know who can and can't access those types of things. So that was one of the reasons why they can't or could not take action, because there was no formal policy at the time this happened.
But he also stated that there was no security breach of any kind either.
no, he said, because there is not a policy in place. They didn't say because she didn't do what she did wasn't wrong. She's saying because there wasn't officially a policy, therefore they couldn't recommend any sort of punitive measure. That there's a big difference between something that's wrong and something they technically can't recommend punishment for because there's not a policy in place. We didn't have a policy in place because prior to that, we trusted the previous mayors to stay out of there, and they did. And then once we got to that point, now we need it in place, now we need the folders locked, now we have employees that don't trust the mayor with those files.
They actually think that she's gonna go out and sell your information.
I didn't say sell, I said didn't trust. And instead of taking a moment to reflect that they have such little confidence in her or her ability,
Why did they elect her then?
they didn't elect her.
Majority of the people in this community must trust her, or they wouldn't have elected her as the mayor. A very few people.
You mean the people that had their personal data? Let's go out to the people that voted and say, hey, give me your social security number, I'm an elected official.
Again, I'm saying the majority of the people in this community elected her because they trusted her. It's a very small amount of people.
And none of them knew about this, none of them knew about this until the vote. I will yell whenever I want to, and you will not tell me to be quiet.
Council, we have code of conduct here
Yes,
that's
exactly.
being violated.
Oh, yeah, considering how you talk to these employees, give me a fucking break.
And language is not.
Exactly. Be
Yeah.
respectful.
Yes, you're more concerned about the F word than someone accessing personal data. Yeah, save it,
She did not
save it.
do anything wrong.
She was told multiple times to stay out.
The attorney's report. I'm trying to stay out of this, but
Okay, so bottom line is, one, we need to have a policy that's very specific about who can and cannot access. And what the procedure is to access. That needs to happen. the attorney put something together, we probably need to review that and maybe makes a few changes and that needs to be adopted. So that moving forward, this doesn't happen again. The other thing is, the fact is, people had access to those files. They were not locked, they were not secured, they were actually out in the open where anyone could get to them. And so this is just an example of, so people are in and out of the files, so they're like, I don't know what they looked at, I don't know what they didn't look at, I don't know what they were doing in there. So they're basically someone that people should got in the files that shouldn't be. But that's on us because we didn't have a policy. Well, now we need to put a policy in place. But, so our employees, the ones that, you know, originally when this happened, we talked about we should provide them with data breach protection if they want it. It's not that expensive, and it would be normally, I think it's just for a couple of years. We should do that just to relieve their anxiety for people being able to and accessing their private information. And so the question is, are we going to provide that for the 3 people that they say that were accessed? Are we gonna provide it for anybody that feels like they need to have it because people were allowed to get into their personal files? Those are the things that we're talking about.
So would you offer this to the elected officials as well? Because my personal information is that in that same.
I think anyone that has, I think you would send out a letter if your information is in this file, in these files, and do you or do you not want this protection? And if they yes or no, yes or no, and then you provide it if they do. And we just move on.
That's what credit card companies do, is
Correct.
send the letter out.
Well, cause I mean, they're part-time employees for the park. Firemen, anybody that got paid is in those files, is my understanding. So you would have to send it out to see who, some people would throw it away, some people would say yes, and would say no. But I think most people aren't gonna care. There's probably gonna be a few people that are very upset about it and do want it. Which is why it's on the discussion topic.
So is that a motion?
Sure, I'll make that motion.
How long do you want to provide the services?
I think the standard is for a breach like that is just like a year or two, just a couple of years, because if something's gonna happen, they usually say it happens within that time frame. I don't know, I guess, we would have to have somebody reach out to a couple companies that provide that to see what the cost is. You know, if there's a break for 10 to 20 to 30, you know, how the pricing runs and what we could ask her to look into, you know, ask her to look into all those things and come back and say, we can do this for this and this, or however you want to proceed, but that would be the first step, is to find out what.
So I just have one question. She said that she had records there for 16 years. That's ridiculous. She doesn't even have to hold it for that long. Are we talking about all those people for the last 16 years? Are you gonna limit it to like 2 years back?
That was my question. What are the parameters of, since I don't know what's in the cabinet, I don't know any of that stuff. What is the parameters of fraud protection offer?
So, again, that's a policy thing. If our policy, legally you're required to keep them for a certain amount of time, and after that, they should be, they can be destroyed. If we have accumulated people's information and have not destroyed them in a public or in a professional manner, that's not their problem, that's our policy problem. So I would say anyone that has information in there should be contacted with this letter, and then you decide.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
records. I have some of the strictest retention, both longest the retention length on most records. Personnel records are kept very complex according to the Iowa Code retention. So, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're kept in that filing cabinet.
If your
I don't know.
record,
They could be
So I
moved
just-
somewhere else.
Electronic.
Yeah.
if they have a file in that folder, file cabinet, whatever term you want to use, they should receive a letter offering the fraud protection.
Including elected officials.
Yes,
Anybody
Anybody.
that is, their information is in there should receive one. And like I said, most people will say, I don't think you're going to get a huge response for people are choosing to take that, but who knows?
So the motion is to adopt a policy.
There's two separate motions. Motion one
Yeah,
is
I'd
going
say
to
we should keep
be
that stuff separate.
provide fraud protection
Yeah, that's what I'm
for
saying.
anyone. Yes, that's number one.
And
Within there.
two is we need to adopt, review the policy that the attorney has and get that fine tuned so it fits the needs for Fairfax and
I would go a step further and say that the only person that should have access to those files, or whoever the caretaker of those files should be the city clerk. So if anybody has a specific request, whether it's a performance review or whatever, they have to go to the city clerk to access or to get whatever the file they request. So previous employee reviews, things like that, should be handled by one person. So you should limit the chain of custody for those things.
And I think that would be part of the policy that.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
right.
That
We would recreate.
policy not part of the code.
like, should that?
if they have to be kept locked, they have, I mean,
There's all kinds of rules.
he has done these for some other people, so he's like, I have a general policy that you would suggest we adopt.
So make the first motion on the policy.
Yeah, that we adopt. I'm gonna make a motion that we reach out to the attorney to.
Oh, we can
review-
revive.
Yeah,
Revive this up.
to review a policy on.
Just curious, your preference, do you want, to draft it yourselves? Do you want a template based on what he submitted?
I think he actually has a policy that he'll give us, like it's already completed and done. We just need to read through it and just determine whether or not everything in it works for us. And then if there's things that need to be, that we feel like maybe need to be changed, we can make those changes and have him review it. But my understanding when I talked to him was that he actually has policy, that he just sent us one.
So I would suggest that we review it, look at it, and then make suggestions that we need to be changed or anything like that.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely create a policy. Review the one we
I'll
have.
second that motion.
Make-
So that's the first motion, okay.
Yeah.
First, second, all in favor?
I,
And then, who was the first? And then there's a second motion on that credit reporting, monitoring season.
I'll make that motion.
just clarification for margin orders here. So you want a letter to go out to every individual who is in the filing cabinet and to offer for, you want some information back to see how much it's gonna cost and the length of time.
So we'll need to reach out to companies that provide that protection to see what the cost is and those kinds of things. But the letter, I think, should be, Dear John, in December of 25, the city of Fairfax experienced a brief data leak, however you want to word that. And we are offering data protection
And we
for whatever the time frame is
Yeah,
that
we
they
would need to know
recommend.
the timeframe and the cost per person to that down.
And then if they want that, then we need to have a procedure for you need to email, blah, blah, something. I don't know, whatever
that-
data company says.
That
you
may
have to
need
have.
to be a separate policy that we create. I don't know if it could be wrapped up in the first one, maybe, I don't know.
So some of that information you'll have to get after you contacted them to see how it works.
So Mike made the motion.
Right.
Need a second on that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
I'm gonna say I, given with parameters of I don't agree what happened, I don't agree that the mayor doesn't have access, but I understand staff concerns. And in a world we live on, if it was gonna happen, in my opinion, it would have already happened. But I think that the right move might be to protect those that are served. Given that it's monitored and tracked. Yes. That would be an aye.
Got everything you need to attend? Oh, yes. Okay. Let's move on to item number 11. Motion for Councilmember Wozniak to consult with the city attorney regarding the agenda and meeting policy. Councilmember Wozniak said to go ahead without him on this discussion. At our last meeting, he had, expressed concerns about our existing agenda and meeting policy. I'll just say to council, I share those concerns. We created a circular policy that basically says we can't change the policy because of the policy. So,
And make a motion that he's allowed to go talk to the attorney to see if it should be changed.
second. Any further discussion before I call for the vote? I'm gonna ask, Rosina and I talked about this a little bit. Rosina, do you have any experience with your prior cities on anything,
Yeah,
meeting policies?
yeah, so. If you were to contact the IOB and ask them most likely what they're gonna say, and I think I've actually asked them similar question for similar, what appears to be similar reason. They said basically, city councils can decide on their own anything like this, limiting motions and or reconsiderations. When I reviewed this one and I compare it to other communities, the only thing that I would say, would be maybe just a little bit of hand tying with the language. A lot of communities follow, and Iowa follow the Robert's Rule of Decorum. And Robert's Rule of Decorum typically has 3 different verbiages for how councils can go back and review an item. One is to amend, and that's when you have like an adjustment to a previous ordinance that needs wording. The wording is changed, there's a technical aspect that you can amend. Another one is for my notes is reconsideration. So reconsideration of the same exact vote. In a lot of communities, what they require is 1 member on the prevailing side, and then one or a member who is absent. So if someone wasn't there, the original vote, and then a second member from the council member in general. So when I reviewed it, this one in comparison to a lot of other communities, we're probably a little bit more on the strict, on the firmer end. But and I will say a lot of communities do have something like this, and I understand that the concern is probably from not wanting someone to repeat or waste time from the council, or pressure or those types of things. So if you can clarify the language, maybe what it means to amend, reconsider, and then the final one would be a recession. And that's when 2 council members request that a prior action be placed on the agenda for recession, which is different than reconsidering. And so, and there's, a lot of times when communities are faced with things that maybe change rapidly, or you need to go back and revisit, you don't necessarily want to pigeonhole yourself. And I think the way it's written is a little vague and could be pigeonholing you. So then there's another piece that you could consider, if you wanted to, which is, would kind of address the other concern, that this council might have, which is an anti-dilatory provision, which basically means that if a motion of either a reconsideration, a amendment, or a recession fails, so basically giving the opportunity for the item to be brought up twice. The original, it fails, whatever it was, and then if it could be brought up again, but if that fails, then it can't be brought up again for 6 months. So that's kind of a standard among a lot of cities. And I think that if you want any additional information, to reach out to the Iowa League of Cities would be a really good resource on this one, because this has been asked a lot. So I guess that's my input would be just maybe to revise the existing one to consider the different types of review that a city might want to make for previous actions. And then to, you know, when you talk about the very specific terminology of reconsidering, I don't think it's very appropriate. I think you want to clarify if you're actually taking an action or if you're just talking about something and how that gets brought back to a council. That's what I know from my experience working with other communities. We do have resolutions that help us to navigate that. But you don't want to pigeonhole yourself.
Thank you, Rosanna. I have a motion on the floor and a second. Council, any further discussion?
I just had a question, given content of the resolution. If we can't bring it up, how do you make changes to it? Number two, was the intention, was it when it was created to in perpetuity stop everyone from making any changes to anything? Because that, at the moment, that's what it does.
No, it doesn't, because two people that are on council that voted for it.
Well, let's say neither one of you are here now, and the next one happens. You got nobody here, or everybody died, or whatever. How are you supposed to get anything done?
Well, I would
Given
say if you don't have two people that voted for it to ask, but you can reconsider because we're not here to say no.
So that's my question. So now we are completely held to nothing and cannot do anything. And talking to people when I was running for this position, you know, there's things that they wanted changed. There's things that they wanted information on or updating. And now we're being told we can't do that because you two don't want us to.
But we have the
That-
opposite,
that's
we have
where
the
I'm at.
opposite is if you allow this, then the first thing that's gonna happen is you're gonna just go through and change everything.
It may not be.
So I mean, you can
changing.
look at it from both ways. The reason we did this originally was so that we wouldn't have fireworks on the agenda every meeting. There were certain things that people just kept bringing back and we're like, this is crazy. Like, it was a unanimous, 5 people voted for that. And Dan was one of them. And the attorney reviewed it and said it was fine. I mean, it wasn't like, we were looking at it blanket. It wasn't like we were doing this just because of this ordinance or this ordinance. We were looking at it as, we don't want all these things to just keep coming back. We've spent time on this. We've made a decision. We want to be able to move forward and look at other things, do other things. Because there were some things that are constantly chickens that would just come back and come back and come back. Like, at what point can we say we don't want to talk about this anymore?
I understand the perspective as well, but there are things that either need revisions, need potential changes that cannot happen.
And
In
they
any fashion.
can't, we just have to agree that we think that they need to happen.
Policy doesn't allow for that.
It doesn't allow, it allows for the people that voted for it to say, yes, you can reconsider it.
But it doesn't allow the people who weren't even here, who have zero voice in any of that, to bring that up at all.
I'm gonna full transparency, I would be I would be looking at this a little bit different if Dan hadn't immediately, the very first meeting, come with a laundry list of things that he just wanted to change. And that was,
appear on the agenda though.
Yeah,
That
they
was-
were on the agenda, then you took them off
Yeah,
because of the
they were
giant
on the
shift.
agenda,
So
yeah,
let's not
and then you
pretend
took
that
'em off.
wasn't on there.
so if that hadn't happened, my whole thought process with this would probably be entirely different. You know, cause to pick or choose and say, yes, maybe we should relook at this one, that's fine. He has a laundry list, and some of those things I'm just not okay with.
The
cannot
flip
like
side
his
is
neighbor's house.
if you make changes,
I'm just saying,
you
so,
know, then never mind, I don't want to be what about it.
but. Because I know that that is in fact the end game here. I'm not okay with that.
I'm changing the subject. I am so cold, I'm shivering. Can we like turn it up a little bit?
Brian, can you adjust it for us, please?
Oh, my goodness, I'm shivering so cold.
Are you under a vent or something?
Well, it does, I thought
It might be that.
it does get cold over here.
Oh, my gosh.
I'm usually cold and I'm okay.
Okay, so we have a
So-
motion, we have a second.
Yeah, I guess let's just.
All right, so any further discussion before you vote? Okay. So, all in favor? Aye.
Hi.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay. So we have a tie vote. Okay. We will move on to item number 12. Water treatment facility update. I had forwarded to council the kickoff meeting minutes, but one of the action points in there was to provide council with an update at this meeting as to what's going on with the water treatment facility.
So we had the design kickoff meeting a couple weeks ago. We basically just went over some layouts of the building, details of the building. I did hand out, give each, council member just an exhibit, just so you have an idea of where we're looking at. For the water treatment facility. So there's two sheets there. The top sheet is the Bell and Africa site exhibit, planning document that part of the agreement. This actual exhibit has been modified slightly from the one that was in the original agreement, just as the water study progressed, well locations. I think the original water supply treatment facility was located further north, but that was in the floodplain, so it's now located just kind of in the center of the project area, the property site. So the well number 4, which has been drilled, is that circle that's just west of Mikey's Ice Cream. And it's shaded in the blue. It's called the first proposed well. It's 4.3 acres of site. And then just southwest of that is the water supply treatment, and it's shown as about 3.9 acres. Those are just approximate areas. But that's the general area that we are proposing the water supply treatment facilities to be located. And then the second site exhibit is an exhibit that was included in the preliminary engineering report that is submitting to the DNR for the well projects and the future water supply treatment facility. So that's basically the location we're looking at for these improvements. It'll change a little bit, the size of the lot, the actual location of the building, the size of the building, all that stuff will be worked out through the design. Like I said, the kickoff meeting was just a couple weeks ago. ISG is starting their design for the facilities, including the architecture for the building, obviously we're treatment facilities themselves. I think they're going to provide some schematics and layouts for the council to look at and consider as we go through 30% plans. So obviously there'll be more information coming as this project progresses. But are there any questions from the council?
Just a quick comment, Shane, and council. I believe all that you approved so far is the design. To move forward with the design. And no approval on construction or anything yet. And Shane, the next step, you referred to the 30%. Explain that a little bit to the council.
Yeah, it's just have a little bit more information, a little bit of an idea on the building size, maybe some renderings of kind of what the building may look like. I think the discussion at the meeting was to kind of have the tones kind of similar to the pump house building and the pump house, the at-grade storage tank, something similar to that. There are some building code regulations as part of the Bell and after property development. So that'll have to be considered as part of it, once that building gets laid out and designed. We did talk, and I don't know if this will stay or not, I know we talked early on about, some possible screening around the building. At least around the portions of the lot where street, adjacent to the street. That may stay, it may not, as things develop. But those of you on the council when that fell after property was being laid out and planned. That green area is basically, kind of a conservation area to be, right now it's all farm field. That'll be restored as, not your traditional park, but more prairie, woodlands, maybe a little bit of a traditional park area. Restored to natural areas. That's part of, the agreement. Okay, so.
And that's the area that we have a 20 agreement with Crooked Community College to assist with that. Okay.
Did it blow up?
Yeah.
I don't know, so
What did it do?
I heard it.
You turned it off.
It went off, and I'll come back on, so it's on.
Do you have any other questions for Shane? We just want to be sure that council stays updated as this moves forward. Do you expect any updates at the July meeting, Shane?
I don't know, maybe not. I mean, right now they're just designing stuff. Maybe we're gonna try to meet on a monthly basis, shortly before the council meetings, but if there's, anything that substantial, we'll definitely touch base with the council on it, but it's just like, yeah, we're proceeding.
Do we have a budget for this? I thought we did.
There was a planning and development loan approved through the DNR for 1.27 million, I think, for all the preliminary design and planning.
So that's just for planning and design, right?
Yes.
So do you know what the potential building cost would
I
be?
think the ballpark for everything was like 15 million or something like that. I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but it was,
Substantial.
substantial.
The design is just so expensive because you have to make sure, like, design how everything works, correct?
Well, yeah, and it's gonna be, there's the building facility and then there's obviously sewer and water extension to it and all the site improvements and everything like that, but obviously the bulk of it's gonna be the building. It hasn't been decided yet. I know there was some discussion back and forth if as part of this project, we drill a fair well or not. The council said at that time, which is probably 2 years ago now, the council was kind of leaning towards, well, let's not do that if we don't have to. There's a lot that goes into that process, and obviously if we get closer, if that's something that is really something that we think would be necessary or be beneficial to do, we'll definitely provide all that information to the council and why it would be recommended, but at this point, don't know if it'll just be well for at this point, or if it'll make sense to proceed in 12.5. But again, that's cost, it definitely does, but on that 15 million, it's most of that is wrapped up in the treatment facility.
Anything else, council? Brian, anything to add?
I don't think so, at all.
Okay, thank you, Shane. We will move on. Shane's gonna continue here, I understand. Consider resolution to approve the West Cemetery Road intersection change order number 3.
Yep, so this change orders, this is the boomerang and the intersection project. Over here that they're not quite done, I mean, they're very close to being done, there's a few things that need to be wrapped up. But, so this change order is for, we were a little bit short on existing topsoil on site. So they got some of the topsoil that was at the well 4 site and imported it, so the change orders for importing that additional topsoil for the $8,450 for that change order.
So moved.
Second.
I need a roll call, and, oh, Mary Ann,
Abstain.
she's abstaining.
Hi,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 14, consider the resolution to approve West Cemetery Road intersection pay app number 7.
So,
Same.
Peter Beer said this is, app number 7. It's in the amount of, $98,284.42. This is not the final pay app, it brings the project close to completion. I think the actual change order is not on this one, so that will be on next month's agenda with maybe a couple other items that just need to be wrapped up on the final pay app, and then the retaining can be moved at the following meeting, with what I would anticipate. Any questions with the pay app?
Need a motion, then please.
Second.
Roll call. Right. I'll abstain.
hi,
Aye.
Aye. Thank you. Item number 15, consider resolution to approve the Heartland Heights Park Pavilion and restrooms pay app number 9.
So this is pay app number 9, the amount of $22,895. The project is, substantially complete. I think the only thing, there's some punch list items, they've got some done, there's some more that still need to be addressed. Hopefully we can meet with, Eric and the contractor out there this week or next week and get them finalized. And then, there's a retainer in the amount of, almost $11,900. That's still being withheld, so once the punch list items are addressed, then that would be paid hopefully by next month.
So the amount of this pay app, Shane, is
It's $22,895.
so moved.
Second.
Roll call, please. Marion. Aye.
hi.
Aye.
Aye. Just a quick question for Joe. Joe, is this Sunday the event at?
Yes, it is.
So people can see, they come to the product.
Yes, they will.
They're having a Flag Day event up at Heartland Heights Park on Sunday. Can't remember the time, Joe,
2 o'clock,
2 o'clock.
2 to 4.
Go see the almost finished product up there. Okay. Item number 16, consider a resolution to approve West Cemetery Road Bridge replacement pay app number 2. Shane.
Yep, so this is the bridge project, the pay application is in the amount of $76,891.90. The bulk of this is for the bridge removal. The removal of the existing West Cemetery Road Bridge, and then basically earthwork that they completed last week for filling in the approaches to the new bridge.
So move.
Second.
Roll call, please. Aye.
Hi,
Aye.
Thank you. Item number 17, consider resolution to enter into an engineering services agreement to investigate the Bellin Africa well field impacts to existing surrounding wells. Shane, will you please explain that to council?
Yes, so this is, we talked about a little bit before, but so we're pumping well number 4, well number 4. It's monitoring on, I think it was 4, maybe 5 existing wells. And, as they're pumping, there was one well to the southwest that they basically ran it to the well pump, so they stopped the pumping. So this is to do, more in-depth study on how the new well number 4 and or wells number 4 and 5 may impact the surrounding existing wells. And then with that study, provide some recommendations on how that may be addressed if it does impact some of those wells.
How many wells are you looking at monitoring?
I don't know if, well, it wouldn't be monitoring, it would basically be, investigating what, what the well information is. So we've done, as part of the preliminary study and part of all the other engineering work we've done. There's a report done that kind of showed the drawdown in the area, so we'd be evaluating the existing well information based on, compared to that drawdown. And then depending on the situation, does it make sense, like, Southview Road, East Southview Road, there's several lots that are on wells there where we installed water main a few years ago. So on lots like that, if they have adjacent water main, if there's significant impact, then, the resolution may be hooked up to city water. If they're, a half mile out, then, maybe lowering the pumps or, participation in a new one, constructing a new well if it's needed. So that's what the study will kind of look at, is what is the impact, when we anticipate the impacts may happen. So when we did the pumping on well 4, I think we were pumping, correct me if I'm wrong, right? I think we were pumping around 680 gallons per minute, well 4. So I don't know exactly, that's part of the stuff with the treatment and, what do we anticipate pumping that well at initially? I doubt we're gonna pump it at 600 gallons per minute. It might be 200, 250, 300 gallons a minute, so. Some of this stuff, maybe a couple wells might be impacted right away when we start pumping, when everything's off and we start pumping in 2, 3, 4 years. And some of it maybe as city grows, some additional wells may get impacted, but that's some stuff we hope to, you're never gonna know exactly how fast the city's gonna grow and stuff, but and that'll just give us an idea and, plan on, okay, here's what we're gonna do if and when certain wells are impacted.
What's the cost for this, Shane?
58,000.
How long does it take?
I think the anticipated 5 to 6 months, so hopefully by the end of the year, we'll have all that, they have the study complete. And that's it, in the month, the end of the year.
And
This is something I should be clear, is ISG, we've been, working with, is doing the bulk of that.
ISG is the same firm that's doing our water treatment design.
Yep. We did the well and preliminary engineering work.
Any other questions for Shane?
I'd like to see it done, if nothing else, then we have proof of where water levels were, what the surrounding wells could handle, in case we have issues with other people's wells,
That's what I was suggesting.
right?
Come get some data so we don't have to be surprised by somebody's opinion.
Okay, any other questions for Shane?
Was that a motion, Mary?
Sure, I'll move that.
Second.
Okay, I need a roll call. Cindy?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you. We already took care of item number 18, so that'll move on to 19. Consider resolution to approve the Pittman Powers Edition final plat. Replatting lots 1 and 2. This is another one of those condo situations.
This is the finalization of the condo situation that's been ongoing, correct?
It's a continuation of splitting up the lot line.
But this would be the finalization,
Of
is that what it says?
these lots, I don't know how many.
No, I meant of this one, yeah.
Oh,
Of this one.
We don't have any more on the table, correct, at the moment?
There's one considered 3 months ago, so this is the second one, but yeah.
We have 2 so far, and this will take care of the second one. It went a lot faster because of our experience with the first one. Eric and others learned a lot through that experience, so. So this will just be to approve this.
And Eric didn't have a problem with it, correct?
No, he's the one that submitted all of these things that you have. If you look in your packet, you have several items.
So what do we need to do, just approve the
Approve that,
resolution?
yes, please.
So,
Second.
Roll call, please, Cindy.
I,
Aye.
Thank you. All right, item number 20, Brian's going to the podium to talk about the King's Materials bill.
So that originally was a PO for $9,900, I believe it's for the Applewood street repair. And during the removal process, I had to take out a little bit more to make it work correctly. And it was a little deeper than I wanted to do to make the process go faster to help with the individuals that were affected. We chose not to haul in rock and stuff to spend more time grading. We just added a little extra concrete, so then I ended up pushing it over the 9,900. And doing so, we got past 10,000, so we are here to adjust that PO to cover that tree repair.
Couple,
And I'm not so sure that there wasn't some fuel surcharge in there as well, but
just couple comment, council, anytime, something exceeds 10,000, it needs your approval. So it bumped up over that. And I think we already talked about this, but Brian and crew did receive compliments from residents that live on Applewood Drive as to their communication and the work during the course of this repair project. So that was good to hear.
yes, it went very well, actually. Happy.
so moved?
Second.
All in favor?
I,
All right, item number 21, did a resolution to transfer money from one place to another. We're going from lots to library savings. Rosina, do you have anything to share on that, or?
Was that money ever moved when we talked about it the last time or not? That's what I was unclear on. I think that it was more an allocation, wasn't it? I don't think it was actually. Did we actually move it to the library?
I don't think you've moved it before. That's what this, Cynthia probably came up with this one.
yeah, I think if it would have been moved, you wouldn't be seeing it. Like physically transferred, you wouldn't be seeing the resolution. And I think allocation is more likely. I mean, how are you gonna do, sorry, actually, I'm picking my brain here because the conversation that was made on this. This is the indication that we're actually going to be spending it. It was allocated for the purpose in a line item. Now we need to spend it now. So, yeah. Okay. And Kathy, correct me if I'm wrong, the other 15 for the Amperage, total of 30 gets paid next year? Like in the next fiscal year?
Correct.
So if we went ahead and moved the 25 now, then we would move another 5 at some point, or does the whole thing get moved now?
Just that amount gets moved now.
The resolutions will tell us.
Yeah,
So we can only,
25, yeah.
okay, now,
we can only move that.
so move.
Well, that 25 originally was for redesign, now it's for funding. those.
We
are not intending to redesign unless.
We repurposed it for
That's
the
what I'm saying,
marketing.
now it's repurposed from.
I think it's put it in there and let them spend it with a third if they think necessary. They're saying 5 cents out next year.
Okay, so I have a motion.
Yeah.
Need a second? Need a roll call, please, Cindy?
Nay.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Item number 22. Consider resolution to authorize people as bank account signatures. This is, we needed to remove Chris Phillip, add Rosina for the bank authorities. So that was the only changes, right?
Second.
Pardon?
Question,
I second.
So it'll change again after.
And then we have to do another one after that was what I was gonna.
After Cynthia leaves, we'd take her off.
Right, or we're not taking her off on this,
She's off on this one.
she's off on this one, I couldn't remember.
To moving her and adding. Moving her first and adding the car.
Yeah, if you look at the resolution, it'll show who is left
Side.
with authority.
There you
Okay?
go. Perfect.
So that way we don't have to do that.
That makes sense.
Motion,
I already did that.
second.
Okay.
Aye,
Roll call, please.
I,
aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Item number 23, resolution to approve non-fire department employee compensation. Is this our parks?
Yeah, we have
Paul, Joe?
one new addition, Blake Allen. The Browns group.
The one that's highlighted in yellow there,
Yes.
the only change. Okay. Need a motion on that?
Second,
Roll call, please, Cindy.
Aye.
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 Thank you. Item number 24. Discussion of possible motion to add the pledge of allegiance to opening of each council meeting going forward. Deb, did you want to talk to this?
I put that out there. I don't think there's anything more to say.
Can we add a flag into the room?
It already is here.
Up here is what I need.
She could actually put something on the screen, couldn't you?
I could, but I think the flag would be there.
Yeah, there's a
Right there. I just would
Maybe
have
from
to
there
put
to
something
there.
up on the
Is it always
screen.
up here? I guess I don't know.
No, I don't mean up here, I mean move the flag up here. I don't
So-
think anybody really.
Yeah, we need
To the
to.
front of the room. It says.
I would suggest if we're gonna do this, that you actually print it and post it, so people who want, that maybe didn't grow up saying it. That one.
Oh, the words you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, put the words on the screen.
Yeah, post the word, put the words up while we say it, so if someone is here that doesn't know but would like to participate, that they can do that.
Okay,
Not everyone grew up saying it like we did.
good idea.
Just saying, the kids nowadays don't do that every day like we did.
Motion,
Second.
I would say one thing real quick about moving a flag up to the front, if that's what you're thinking about doing. This is a lot of activity up here with people moving tables in and out. I don't think you want renters or staff to be continually handling that flag and moving it. My recommendation would be leave it there. When people stand, they will turn and that'll address the flag. But I don't wanna have renters in here moving that flag around.
No, but you could, Tina, be the only one to move it for the meeting.
Yeah, but why would Tina wanna move it every weekend? Just say move it back every week.
I'll volunteer to bring it to the front before the meeting starts.
Okay.
My God.
I was gonna do that, but you.
Include that in the motion. All right, where are we?
We're gonna vote?
Yeah,
Did you
there was a
I
motion
motion.
to, wait, the other thing is, the placement of that, I think you suggested right after the call to order before the roll call. Is everybody read
Oh,
that
as
okay?
opposed to when-
Yeah.
Whatever, at the beginning.
I don't know.
Okay.
Right. Another question though is this an informal change or do we need to change our agenda and meeting policy to reflect the unchangeable agenda and meeting policy?
Oh, good lord. Really?
Your option. Or is it an informal addition to the agenda?
I would say just do it informally. If
Informal.
someone complains, we just tell
Then
them
we
to be
can-
quiet.
It's voluntary. If
Yeah, it is
you wanna
voluntary.
Do that, then they can't.
Okay, so in other words,
Informal.
we don't have to change the procedure.
I agree, informal.
All right, so we have a first and a second. You got one first.
First, who was the second? I did. Thank you.
All in favor, please.
Aye.
Did I hear Mike?
Aye, yes.
Okay. We are up to claims. Did anybody have any questions on the bills that are included in your packet?
Motion to pay the claims.
Is it tongue twister? Take a second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You? All right, for opportunity for citizens that are not on the agenda, if anyone in the audience or on the phone like to speak on any topic, council cannot respond. Okay. Hearing none, we'll move on to mayor's comments. Already talked about bad recycling. Which bumped into cleanup day reminder Saturday, June 20th from 7 to 10. Just a heads up. Tomorrow, one of the attorneys that council hired to represent us in the power plant situation will be in Cedar Rapids for another reason. If time allows, he wants to stop by and also tour our Pine City and look at the proposed site for the power plant. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that, that could happen tomorrow.
So you'll send out an email if it actually.
I'll follow up with council to let you know if that happens or not. Okay. All I have. Rosina, did you have any?
Yes, so, the Iowa League of Cities Annual Conference and Exhibit is in Bettendorf, September 23rd to 25th. Just, encouraging anyone who'd like to go, that is available. I will be attending a community communications conference on June 25th. It's in the evening, 5 to 8 in Manchester. And then just to update, there's gonna be some legislative changes that are coming down the pipeline federally regarding ADA compliance with websites and publications. And in addition, closed captioning for any live streaming audio and visual. It's a big topic right now, especially for larger communities who have a lot of documents, but I mean, as with most legislative changes, they're rolling it out to larger communities first and then allowing the timeline for smaller communities to be in compliance. So we're looking at 2027 for communities of a certain size or more. We would fall into 2028. So I will provide information as it is obtained, but it could present some obstacles in how we present information to the public on our website and then in our open sessions. And then I do have some minor suggestions to change the audio Zoom situation that might potentially eliminate the need for the external device. I would be utilizing the Zoom capabilities that we have and would be offering residents the addition of having potential to have a visual in addition to the audio. And then it would provide the council, could potentially provide the council with the ability to monitor and reduce the interruptions and mute people as they enter. So I just was hoping to present you with that on the 23rd. That is all I have.
Okay. Thank you. Need a motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. 2-hour meeting. Good job, Rosanna.
I agree too.
The hang of it.
Sure.
He's been putting in a lot of extra hours. I need your.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, but once you get something running, we'll be done. I don't know how hard we do.